Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. And first of all, I want to thank everybody for showing up for this. This is not one of our scheduled webinars, but we thought the topic was of interest enough to enough folks and all that. So this is Bob Coppedge, CEO, Grand Poobah, whatever, of Simplex-IT. And normally we do, well, right now we're at two webinars a month, one both handled by Patty, who's smarter than I am. One dealing with Office and the other one dealing with project management. But we saw the changes for Skype that are going on, and we thought that was interesting enough to kind of, it deserved its own webinar. So that's what we're doing here. And I want to be real clear here that the topics that we're talking about, the stuff hasn't been 100% released yet. My understanding is that some of the stuff's going to start coming out next week, specifically December 1st, but I haven't seen the official yet. So bear with us on this. So one of the things, if you can't hear the audio, in which case, why am I explaining this to you? If you can't hear the audio, you can join by calling this number. 723. And you'll be asked for a conference ID. And that's one of the new things that is part of Skype for Business, is that before you're pretty much, there were some third parties who were offering some conference call add-ons, and Microsoft is now making it so that that's no longer needed. However, one of the caveats, you'll notice this is not a toll-free number, it's a toll number. So you need to make sure that you've got appropriate long distance, all that good fun stuff. So Patty, if you could do me a favor, can you type in this information as part of the chat so that once we move past this slide, people can still join in. So what's going on here is essentially there are two things that are happening here simultaneously. Is that Microsoft is really trying to get into the telephony business for small, medium businesses. We're going to talk about that a little bit as we go forward, although that's not really the focal point of the stuff that's coming out right now. But it's definitely their direction. The second thing is that Microsoft is trying to add on to a lot of the capabilities of the Skype for Business so that it is friendlier in terms of having meetings such as GoToMeeting or some of the Citrix stuff or the like, but then also so it has more collaborative functionality, so it's competing against Google. So those are the kind of the positionings that Microsoft is doing. They're trying to get better on the telephony for the small, medium businesses. They're also trying to get into and really go after the GoToMeeting worlds and the Citrix worlds and that sort of thing. So, because always one of the things we try to keep in mind is why is Microsoft doing it and what directions are they going. So blah, blah, blah. For those of you not aware, Simplex-IT, we are a managed service provider. We are also a Office 365. We're a cloud champion, tier 1, whatever. We've done a lot of work on Office 365. We should be your IT department, yada, yada, yada. Here's a couple of key things, however. With Office 365, since this is an Office 365 topic, there's a lot of functionality that you either may have and you're not using, or you may not have and not realize you don't. Here's a list of those kind of things. The one thing I would draw your mind to is that if you're paying Microsoft directly for your 365 licensing, you can actually get it for less going through us. So just keep that in mind. And if you don't have Office 365 but you want it, well, we're showing you this webinar, so you owe us. You should really contact us because that'd be nice. We've also got some other stuff still going on. Next month, this is our last for this month. Next month, we have Excel 2016. Patty has assured me that there's a lot more interesting stuff in Excel 2016 than there is in Word 2016. Sorry, those of you who really love Word. We then have our annual Geek Raffle. There'll be more information on that. We were hoping to do Microsoft Planner, which is the latest 365 piece that is kind of like Project Light or Project for people who hate Gantt charts. However, we cannot get confirmation from Microsoft when they're going to make it available for us to see it. And what was interesting was we went up the ladders and ranks with Microsoft. half of them didn't know it existed. So, gives you an idea right there. Our new website is live. Social media. Here's something you could do for us, and we're actually starting to pay more attention because Patty's also now our marketing director, and so she's like making me pay attention to this. If you haven't already, if you could like us and follow us and friend us and whatever, we're really starting to get into those metrics as far as the SEO stuff and all that kind of fun silliness. So it would make Patty happy, and Patty happy is, I hear, a good thing. I don't know. So the IT, the DBA, the PM. So what we've got, let me just check something real quick. And one of the things is that when you join through the phone, apparently the default is not muted. So I'm actually muting. So I see a lot of people have connected through the phones. That's cool. It works. So the non-PSTN, plain simple telephone networks, we'll explain the difference between that. Last I heard, which was about 3 weeks ago, they're supposed to go live December 1st. Some of the stuff's live already. There is a early join-in that you can do. Right now, for the discussion here today, this is about Skype for Business through Office 365. You can also have a Skype for Business server, on-premise server. That already has a lot of telephony integration using Microsoft Unified Communication Models, but it's not really 100%. It's different. So we're not really going to be covering that topic at all as far as this conversation goes. And I also want you to understand, I am actually running both the beta for OneDrive for Business as well as Skype for Business. So I'm running two betas that kind of work together, or should. So what could go wrong? Well, actually, we already have seen a couple things go wrong. So we'll talk about that. Here is where you want to go. And I put a link to it. I just put a blog entry up, simplex-it.com/blog. You'll see the first article is a link. There is a great website that Microsoft has put on, which is, and I just switched over to that, just to make sure. So this is a great web page that really points out what the Skype for Business Online features are. And for the most part, we're going to be looking at this and then looking at some of the Outlook integrations and all that kind of fun stuff that goes on here. But this little chart right here, these little nine tables, can everybody see that? Can someone text me? Or by the way, instant message, the chat conversation, absolutely type in stuff if you have questions or the like. Scott, thank you. Nice to see you, Scott. How are you doing? Anyway, we'll chat later. No, let's talk about how you're doing for a while. Okay, Sherry, Jim will talk about with the iPad. There is a lot of work being done as far as additional screens and all that. Sherry, if you're having problems, if it doesn't resolve in a minute, sometimes that happens from slow connections. If you want to drop out of the meeting and then drop back in, sometimes that happens. Sometimes that'll clear things up. So here's what we're going to take a look at. We're going to take a look at all of these events. Oh, Jim, you're going to hit me with the codecs? That one I don't know. Okay, Jim's showing me up. Thank you, Jim. So first of all, one of the limitations of no, seriously, dude, it's okay. My grandchildren can show me up. All right, so you're it's not the biggest challenge. Okay, so one of the limitations with Skype for Business, because it is a higher as far as the communications and the meetings are encrypted, more secure, all that kind of thing. You have a limit with Skype for Business Online of up to 250 people per meeting. Let's say, however, that instead you want lots more. Well, now there is Skype Meeting Broadcast. And what Skype Meeting Broadcast is, essentially, it is a new way of creating meetings. And I think I've got an example here that I can bring up. And you actually would go to portal.broadcast.skype.com and you would create, and you would use your 365 credentials to get here. And it shows you what happens when I just slam something in. Bear with me a second. So you can literally go with thousands of people attending this meeting. So by using the Skype meeting broadcast, now this does not allow, or this dummies down the attendees somewhat. So you have more of a people are just attending to watch. They're not participating, or they don't have the option of participating, which they do. So it's a thinner version of the broadcast. So if I want to set up a new meeting here, you simply go, what's the title of the meeting? Happy post-Thanksgiving recovery. What's the starting date? We're going to start it on the 27th. We're going to start it at 12 o'clock. How long is it going to go? And then there's and notice how we've got two groups. We've got the event team and we've got the attendees. The event team are basically the people who are going to be part of the giving the meeting. Those could be presenters such as myself, folks who are going to be watching the chats, people who are going to be assisting, any of those people. So they basically are a thick attendee, if you will. And God, I hope that doesn't go viral and the like. Whereas attendees are pretty much people who all they're going to do is soak it in. They're just going to watch. The participation is going to be lower for those people. The event teams, you basically go in email and alias, you check them, they'll be added. Presenters, producers, organizers, moderators, anyone else, they all have control of the broadcast. Attendees, however, you can either say it's anonymous, hey, if you got the link, you're in. Or secure, I'm going to list the people who attend, in which case they're going to get those specific, and then anyone from my company can attend. So what this is, and enable whether we can video recording for it. What this does, and this is again for only people who are looking to have much larger meetings with a lot more attendees, or if you want people to have thinner connections and thinner requirements as far as connectivity goes, because if they're doing full Skype for Business, there's more control, there's more data that's going back and forth, would be my presumption. So, but Skype meeting broadcast, again, it's a positioning against or to work with, or instead of GoToMeeting and the like, but that's there. That's one of the new things. And you'll notice I had to go to a portal in order to create this meeting invite. And then I can create it, I can distribute it through Outlook, I can do all sorts of things, and it becomes a link and you run the meeting then normally. So how do I want to do that? You've got this Skype meeting broadcast. You also have to set up the Skype meeting broadcast. There's a couple of things, and it's very well defined in the document. A couple of things you have to do in your 365 portal, administrator's portal, to allow certain domains to be integrated into your Skype for Business. Fairly straightforward, fairly simple. And then you scroll down here. Again, we're on the same site, same page that we point to in our blog article. This shows you how, for end users, how to Skype meeting broadcast event, manage it, join it, all that good fun stuff. So that's these first two. Skype meeting broadcast, again, for meetings that have a lot more people. Dial-in conferencing. Cool. What'll happen now is when you are, and I just close my screen a little bit. So if I move my Outlook over here, I want a new Skype meeting. And for us, the new Skype meeting now has this information here, which wasn't there before. Join by phone. So what Skype for Business will do is it will automatically try to determine what the best phone number is. And there are several phone numbers, but again, it's a toll number. So it's not a toll-free number. Now, the toll is taken on by the person who calls. So if, I've got half a dozen people who called in on this meeting, you're calling the 773 number. There's several other numbers you can use as well. And you can say find a local number. Now, since this is a relatively new release, you've got probably about half a dozen, Chicago, New York, West Coast, all that. However, that number I think will probably increase, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if within, let's say 6 to 12 months, there's toll-free numbers as well. So it is that simple. And this, honestly, because we've been doing webinars, actually we were doing webinars, I think our first ones we did with whatever live meeting prior to BPOS and all that kind of fun stuff. And the biggest problem we always had was people joining the Skype for Business meeting and the audio wouldn't work. And oddly enough, it wasn't because of the speakers, it was because of the microphone. There was an issue where if your workstation didn't have a microphone, Skype for Business wouldn't recognize the speakers, even if you didn't need a microphone. So this eliminates that problem. So this is a great new addition. Now, this is not to be confused with using a mobile app on your phone to join the meeting. That's a different story, and we'll get to that. There was a question on the iPad earlier, so it's the same issue, or same question there. But this right here is huge. This is, pardon my French, freaking huge, because this really does eliminate the biggest challenge that we've seen, at least, in terms of using Skype for Business. So that's cool. And you can see some dial-in conferencing, frequently asked questions, and that'll go into with the issues of cost and all that kind of thing. Now, these are the two that I want to be a little bit careful about: PSTN calling and Cloud PBX voicemail. So PSTN calling is essentially, this is Microsoft trying to replace the small business phone systems. So what they're going to basically be doing, let's click on that. This is going to be able to assign, get phone numbers, make and receive phone calls within your organization. This is the first, I'm not even sure it's the first, this may be the second step of Microsoft really trying to take over the telephony environment to offer a cloud-based telephony solution for small, medium businesses through Office 365. So what will happen is, and we'll get into licensing towards the end, but what will end up happening is that you will essentially assign a license for this phone. So this is an additional license, and you will essentially then assign the phone number to this license and then be able to use it for phone calls on your PC and other devices as well. So this is kind of taking a lot of because there's a lot of companies. We are a RingCentral partner, and we're very happy with RingCentral. It works for us very, very nicely. So this is essentially trying to integrate the type of features that a RingCentral company or other organizations like that would offer into your Outlook, into your Skype for Business, into your Skype, relatively speaking, all of that, so that everything is integrated. Okay. Any questions on this so far? Okay, now that's pretty much just making phone calls. Now we get into the PBX. This is where we're really talking about Microsoft providing a phone system and service for small, medium businesses. And essentially, this takes that first step that we had about the PSTN lines. Now we're going to be talking about doing forwarding, doing email, voicemail converted to email. We're talking about this is where you really start talking about an organization. And the organization using Office 365 as their communication medium. All right, now, here's the thing. I love the idea, and we have not tested this one yet, and this is going to be a little more delayed, and by delayed, we're really talking a few weeks, maybe a couple of months. So we're not talking a long period of time. The one thing I have heard, as you'd imagine, is there are some restrictions, some, I don't want to say limitations, but I've heard negative and positive as far as how the quality of call is if you don't have some dedicated service, internet connectivity service, your ISP type stuff. So I would not necessarily go be the first ones on your block to do this unless you are truly committed to doing this as a test. Now, anytime you add VoIP Anytime you add voice data to being brought over the same line as you get your internet data from, there are all sorts of configurations you want to do, because slow website because packets are dropped or have to be transmitted, not that big of a deal. Bad connection when you're watching a streaming video, okay, so you get a little bit of fuzz or whatever in the picture. Bad connection for phone, you can't understand the person or the call is dropped entirely. So you have to make absolutely sure, if you're doing voice over IP, that that connection is a good quality connection. So this is one where I love it. I think it's a great, it really positions Microsoft in a great way, especially when you take a look at some of their on-premise offerings as well. And this is the thing about Microsoft, is nobody can do the combination of on-premise or on cloud or hybrid like Microsoft can. And they do a horrible job communicating that to people, but it's absolutely true. So this is something that I think is really exciting, but I wouldn't be the first kid on the block to sign up for it. Okay. And this is one where I'm going to talk about it, but Patty and I tried testing it this morning. We had a little bit of trouble with it. And this is co-authoring. And what co-authoring is this allows everybody to work on the same document. And by that, I mean you can basically share a document that is cloud-based. So it has to be in your Skype for Business. It has to be in your OneDrive for Business folder. And when you do that, everybody can simultaneously edit that document at the same time. Now, we have 23 people on this call. We're not going to do this. And we actually had a little bit of trouble getting it to work, I think because I have the beta OneDrive and the beta Skype for Business, and the two of them weren't necessarily getting along well. But this is especially nice from the standpoint of with Skype for Business, the way that you had to do the collaborative model was you essentially said, you were very polite about it. I'm editing the document. And the person on the other line says, well, may I edit the document? Why, of course you may. Please do. And it goes back and forth. Now it's basically turning into the fight over the last piece of pizza, where essentially you can have 2 or 3, however many people you want. You open up this document and you open it up to multiple sets of editing. So I think this is great for the collaborative, but on smaller footprints in terms of the number of attendees. Clients and apps. If you take a look at this, this will give you client comparison tables for Skype for Business Server and the apps. Actually, this also has to do with the cloud. So this is where, and I think, yeah, Jim, you had the question of the product. So this will give you an idea fairly nicely of, depending upon what app you're using and device, here are the features that you have, both current and ones that were already existing. Okay, now keep in mind, pay close attention to when this was last modified, because one of the things that Microsoft has done, and they've done actually a pretty good job of it, again, they've done a lousy job of telling people about it, but Microsoft has done a pretty good job of adding functionality outside of the Wintel platform. So you've seen constantly updates to Android, Mac, Linux, whatever devices in terms of not just web-based content, but also on-premise, on-device content as well. So the whole idea of being part of a Skype for Business meeting, this is where I was saying that earlier, using the phone for the audio, don't confuse that with actually using the mobile app on your phone. Now, as always, mobile apps, by and large, have some limitations. Don't have the ability, whether it be because of horsepower or for the software doesn't allow the complexity, or the security isn't there, or they just haven't fixed it. Almost always there are features that you cannot do on certain platforms and certain devices. So this is a great place right here when you're looking to see what can be done and what can't be done in terms of the Skype for Business. Now, you can't always know what your attendees are using. So, for example, we've over 20 people here on this connection. I don't know what most of you are using, so I can't promise that you all are having a stellar experience. And especially then when you then attach that to the where are you in terms of your internet connectivity. If we have a Time Warner connection that's reasonable but nothing to knock your socks off with, but if you are at a coffee shop that is taxed within an inch of its life as far as network connectivity or bad routing, so you're not able to get to it, your experience is going to be poorer, but not necessarily everybody else is not going to have that issue, if that makes sense. So this right here is a good link to keep a hold on, especially if you're going to end up troubleshooting or maintaining environments that have Skype for Business, and they're just like throwing devices into this thing, left and right. Okay. Any questions on this? One of the other things that I found that I don't think you could do before. So this is Skype for Business, and one of the things that you can do is you can go and create groups. And you start with favorites and other contacts, but you can create your own groups. So I created my own group called Techs. So these are the 5 technicians that we've got that apparently have Autobot issues, and that's a Yoda thing, I think. So if I wanted to instant message Allah, for example, let's say Brandy's available, I just right click and send an IM or call or start a video, whatever. But it was a little harder to get all of them. Now I can just right click on the group itself and send an instant message. And what that does is that automatically creates a single event, a single meeting with all 5 of those people. So it automatically creates a meeting of 6 people. And by adding additional contacts from outside your organization, you can actually create, kind of as your own personal needs are, you can create your own temporary groups and then just connect with them, which will connect as best can. So it won't with Allah and Freddie because they're, and Jeff, so I'll basically just get Brandon and Kevin. But again, that's kind of nice if you're looking to have quick conversations with a group of people. Now, alternatively, I could just go into Outlook, create a business meeting invitation, and get everybody together that way. So, but this is a little more real time. Boom, I can do it right now. Okay. So, let me see. Just want to make sure that we've got covered what we were hoping to cover. So these are pretty much the features. Now, any questions before we wrap up? We're actually almost on time. This just does not happen often, especially for me. Well, one of the things that I should have mentioned. On this page, if you scroll down and click on Skype for Business Resources, I think this is here. Oh, I'm sorry. Mea culpa. Because I thought there was a simple link on here. There's a way to sign. If anybody's interested, shoot me an email, and I'll get you, because you can sign up for this preview. And I apologize because I thought I had a good link for that here. Yeah, email. Now, one last thing. Not all Office 365 licenses are going to qualify for this immediately. First of all, if you don't get Skype for Business in your current email or in your current 365 license, you're not going to get it after this is played. You have like Office Pro Plus or Office Business or Exchange Online, you're not going to get. And I think right out of the gate, E1, E3, E4 will get it. I'm not sure. I've heard different things about the Business Essentials and the Business Premium. There is a separate add-on license to add the Skype for Business. I think it's Skype for Business 2 or something along those lines. There will be that. If you have any questions, email Bob at Simplex-IT if you have questions about the licensing on that. And again, it hasn't been officially announced yet. So there may be, there may be a little bit more play that happens on that. Any case, any other questions from anybody? If there aren't any other questions, thank you all very much for attending. And again, please check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter, do all those nice things that you really, really should do. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Bob.